I came to the realization today that this process is gonna take some time. Obviously, this is not some groundbreaking idea. You should already know, I should have already considered this and known this going in, but it's one of those things where whenever you start a project, you always, I find, myself, I always tend to underestimate the time it's going to take. And even when it ends up taking far, far longer, uh, it always comes as a shock to me. I'm never really certain why that is. I think for some reason, I think people tend to sort of intellectually understand things. Like intellectually, I knew this was going to take a while to get this novel written. But emotionally, for some reason, I didn't seem to understand that. For some reason, it's come as a shock to me. And so today I ended up writing 442 words, which basically amounted to a few paragraphs. They were really good quality, it was good quality work, I think, especially for a first draft. It was definitely stuff that I'm definitely proud of. I'm glad I didn't just necessarily rush through, my afternoon basically putting out, several pages of things I wouldn't have been happy with keeping. But just looking back at it and just seeing what like the physical amount of words on that page and seeing how little that really is, it definitely kind of hit me today. I went into this week, or this past week, basically thinking that I was going to have this entire section written and be well on to kind of the third act here. But I'm seeing more and more that I'm not going to be basically to the third act till probably the end of this week. And I'm certainly fine with that. There's no like real general disappointment at all at not having gotten my section done on kind of my own deadline that I set for myself. There's maybe a little bit of worry just that I might be, pushing my deadlines back and back further and further maybe. But again, there's a lot of stuff just in my own head. If I look at my work and I just take a step back at it, I can see that I'm still making really good progress here. I should probably have the rest of the story done sometime at the end of February. But again, my bigger thing is just the quality of work. So as long as I'm basically, doing this right every day here, putting out, good quality work basically over putting out perhaps some faster work that hits the deadline quicker, I'm happy with that. I'll take a few extra weeks basically to get this draft done. Just knowing that the stuff I put down is quality. And so to tie this all up, this is my 2 week mark of the Write Everyday program. I'm looking back at the word counts I've done over the past 2 weeks, and they have been lower, but I'm starting to now consider them the staple of the program. I think you can get a lot more doing this right every day. You'll get a lot more if you can write perhaps a bit of a lower word count as opposed to batching everything into a single day. So if you write typically 500 words, say, every day, I think you'll get further than the person who maybe writes every other day but puts 1,000 words on the page. At the end of the week, it's the same amount of word count, but having those 24 hours in between every single session, it will allow you to think over what you've written and to plan out your next section better. It's far easier to manage writing a few hundred words than it is to manage out 1,000 words basically on the same day. Now, with that being said, obviously everybody has their own set point. So everybody, there are people basically that can write, 2,000 quality words in a day. There are some people that can only maybe write 150. The only way to find out is just to obviously practice and get to know your writing. But what I'm saying is staying at the more conservative estimates of your writing and writing closer to that, you might find that doing that day to day consistently with plenty of time in between to kind of think about what you're writing might, at the end of your draft, whatever you're working on, you might find that the writing and the quality is perhaps a lot stronger than if you had kind of pushed it basically to your max word count simply to get your piece done a little bit faster.